thank you so much for joining us this evening. We're going to be interviewing the ambassador for the European Union, Henriette Geiger. She's just going to be telling us about her tenure. There's going to be a few changes, but she'll be the best to tell us about that. My name is Hibak Said. Thank you so much for joining us. Balozi, how exactly has your tenure been like? How has your journey been like in Kenya?
The journey has been fantastic. So I arrived in August 21. And it was still in the middle of COVID. So everybody was masked. The delegation was mostly in teleworking, so I met the colleagues very sparsely, and it took some time to get back to full operational ability. And also the country was still half in lockdown. So I remember the first meetings. Each time I had to get a COVID test. So almost every morning I had to take the swab and the swab and the swab. So because we needed clearance for every government meeting. Right. So I presented my credentials together with other 6 or 7 masked ambassadors. Right. The president was masked. It was still Uhuru Kenyatta. And most of the ones that presented with me are already gone by now. So I think the only one is left standing is the Barbadian ambassador. Right. And the Belgian ambassador is leaving with me on the 31st of July. So since then, 22, of course, we had elections already, national elections. I started here immediately. I thought we have to contribute to have credible elections. So we organized, at the invitation of the government, an electoral observer mission, 150 people observing at big expense. And of course, it was incredible to have them here during months to accompany the last preparations, the rollout. We worked a lot with the IBC. And I particularly worked on youth engagement because I thought the young people have to come out and vote and give their voice. So I came up with a concept whereby I worked with Octopiso and IBC. So Octopiso gave free concerts, and IBC gave the voter registration booth.
Right, Balozi, while we're talking about that, you did see there was a transition into a new government. The Kenya Kwanza government did take over. Diplomatically speaking, and even democracy-wise, how exactly was that shift, and how have you been dealing with this particular government?
Yeah, so of course, my very first elections here in Kenya, but I was already working on the Horn of Africa in 2007. So from afar, I saw what happened in 2007. So I was prepared that there could be some complications here and there. And we were actually very happy that more or less it went well, the elections, with some difficulties here and there. There was a lot of engagement of the international community over and above our observation, electoral observation. And then, of course, our tasking as diplomatic missions is to engage with the government, also with civil society, private sector, and so on. So that's what we did. And we did our very best that the EU was establishing a very good contact with all of the ministries. And right after the government took office, I took the president to Brussels. And that was his first. And this was an eye-opener, basically, to the possibilities of our cooperation. And only a few months later, we had our high representative here for the first big strategic dialogue on political and security, on trade and investment, on development cooperation. So that set us solidly in a working relationship with the government. And I think for the past 4.5 years now, we worked in a very dynamic climate, and the EU has been on the ball in almost all areas. And I think the relationship between the EU and Kenya has deepened and broadened very much during the past years.
Right. Speaking about the president, you do realize that